Welcome to Amplifying Leadership and Tip Thursday with Tara, your weekly dose of practical leadership tips and strategies you can apply immediately to your team and work. I am Tara Lehman, founder and CEO at Amplifying Leadership. Each week, I'll share insights and takeaways designed to help you build, enhance, and grow your leadership skills. It's actionable guidance you can use right away. Visit us anytime at amplifyingleadership.ca. Welcome back to Tip Thursday with Tara. So, this month I am going to be talking all about delegation and empowerment. And honestly, I think this is a topic that many leaders do struggle quietly with. Delegation sounds really simple in theory. I'm going to give you this task, you go ahead and do it. However, a lot of leaders are really overwhelmed. Maybe they're stretched thin, very mentally exhausted these days, and also carrying responsibilities that could likely be shared more effectively with someone on their team. And I want to say this right up front. Delegation is not about leaders doing less because they do not care about the task or thing that needs done. It's actually quite the opposite in most cases. Leaders who struggle with delegation the most, I find, are often the ones who really do care. They want things done well. They feel very responsible for everything, and they take pride in their work. They genuinely want to support their teams by giving their all to their teams. However, over time, if we constantly hold on to everything and don't delegate and train work to someone else, everything else really creates undue pressure on ourselves as the leaders or business owners. But it can also do the same thing to the team. So today I really want to walk through, excuse me, 3 signs you may be holding onto more than you need to as a business owner or leader. And hopefully by the end of the episode, you will identify something that you can start letting go of. Leadership, remember, is not about carrying the entire business or the entire team on your shoulders by yourself. It really isn't. So, what's the first sign? Maybe you're constantly interrupted throughout the day. And I'm sure a lot of hands are going up saying, yep, that's me. If your day really feels like you're getting maybe those nonstop interruptions, nonstop questions, need to approve everything, updates need checked off, people are checking in with you because they're afraid to make even the smallest decisions, it's usually a sign that delegation's not fully established. Maybe expectations for the employees are unclear, or maybe they just feel uncomfortable about moving forward confidently. This does not mean you or your employees are incapable at all. It just means that employees maybe have learned from the leaders or business owners or how the culture works that it's preferred that leaders are involved in everything. So employees will, over time, just stop taking initiative because they don't want to make mistakes. They don't want to feel like they're overstepping. And maybe they don't want to redo work later. And so what happens? The leader and business owner actually becomes bottleneck for things not getting done and the bottleneck to their own time management. Maybe they feel like they can't focus or the leader's attention is constantly divided. Your team may even become dependent on you to move forward. So I do have a question that I often encourage business owners and leaders that I speak to ask themselves. And especially when you feel like you need to hold on to something when maybe you don't, ask yourself this: does this truly require my involvement? Or have I trained people unconsciously most times to rely on me for this? Sometimes the question stings a little bit because you realize that maybe you should be training the people, and that's okay because we all do this in some way. It's an important thing to recognize when that comes up for you. The second thing is you might start to feel like it's just faster or easier to do it yourself. I hear this so much. It's just easier if I do it myself, or it's just faster. I don't have time to train, all that kind of stuff. Really, this is probably the most common thing I hear. And be fair, sometimes it is actually faster in the moment for you to do it. However, it's because you already know how to do it. But now you're busy, you have deadlines are tight, and everything feels frustrating, the training or the explaining. The bigger issue, though, is that every time you say, I'll just do it myself, you are unintentionally or unconsciously reinforcing dependence on you. Your employees never get trained, so they can't learn, they can't grow, they can't help. It doesn't build their confidence. It doesn't become repetition so they can learn. And, it really doesn't develop any ownership by your team into taking on something. So sometimes those same tasks continue to come back to you over and over again. So small term convenience of doing it right now can really create long-term overload. If you just spend the time to train that person, you can always delegate that work if it's a repetitive thing. Yes, it takes more effort upfront to delegate, but when you do it, it creates capacity later. So many leaders are exhausted today because they have spent so much time operating in survival mode instead of actually developing the team to help them. The last line I want to talk about today is that you feel like you can never fully step away from work. And this is a big one. I mean, we go home and we think we have to do work. If you feel maybe anxious about taking any time off, maybe not just the vacation, but like a half a day, or if you're constantly checking messages at 8, 9, 10, or even midnight, or if you're worrying that if I go away for a day, everything's going to fall apart, or even maybe the team struggles when you aren't there, it's usually a sign that there's too much responsibility on one person. And I really do see this with some high performing leaders. I was one of these people myself, but also with some business owners. So some people become the safety net for the entire organization. Is put up their hand and I'll do it. A lot of people who want to climb the corporate ladder can get into this too. But the reality is it's not sustainable for a leader to do this. It's not about being needed for everything and everyone. It's about building a team that really can function, they can think, they can problem solve, and they can move things forward even when you're not there. And this is where empowerment of your team starts. It's not that you're abandoning anybody. It's not that you're throwing tasks at people. It's really that you're building clarity, support, you're coaching and you're training your employees, you're building accountability and confidence and even trust. So, as I wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this. What is one thing that you're currently holding on to that someone else on your team could start learning to take ownership of? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to do this overnight, but there's something that can be done that you can then think of, do that, and then work on the next one. Delegation is not about losing control over anything. It's about creating stronger teams and people, having healthier leaders so that we feel like we can rest once in a while, and more sustainable success at a business. Most leaders right now are carrying far more than they actually need to. So you have to remember that and think about what are those things I'm holding on to that I can train or coach someone else on my team to start taking ownership of. All right, so that's it for this week's Tip Thursday with Tara. So I will see you next time where we'll continue the conversation around delegation and empowerment. That's your Tip Thursday with Tara for this week. If you're looking to clarify leadership priorities, build strong teams, or empower those around you, I'm here to help. Explore our programs, coaching, and more at amplifyingleadership.ca because leadership is better when we do it together.